I got lobbed to death. I hear that all the time, whether it was in singles play or in doubles. In this video, I'm going to show you how to adjust your court position, add some variety on overheads to keep the ball in play, and just in generally make the lob a very unappealing option because, yeah, I do agree. Too much lobbing can be really frustrating. The number one mistake that I see is just being too close to net. And I just put out another video, and I'm going to put the link right here, that goes way more in detail, but I'm just going to run through it one more time in singles. If you find yourself anywhere closer than halfway from the net to the middle, anywhere here, too close. Don't remain here. This would be where you put your second volley away. But if you're coming in as close for your first volley, well, no wonder that they lob you. So first volley, probably somewhere just inside the service box. And yeah, what you then don't want to do, just because you heard you got to close, is do this. Yeah, of course, if somebody hits a short ball, get in there. But don't remain here, because nobody's going to try to pass you with the second ball. They're going to lob you. So after you hit a volley, slide back ever so slightly. So you just make it visually less appealing for them to go in the deep open spot behind you. Force them to go into the open space in front of your feet. If you've ever seen this, and this is for doubles now, when you're the returner and your opponent is measuring the distance to the net with the racket length and then they remain here, basically they're giving you written permission to lob the ever-loving baloney out of them. So, of course, on the flip side, when your partner is serving, you want to be about 3/4 from the net to the service line because yes, that takes away the lob right away. It also gives you a little bit more time and room to move forward, and especially then to poach. And yeah, if somebody flames the ball right at you, if you were here, not so much time to defend. Back it up, and even if you adjusted your position back a little bit and they're still lobbing, don't insist on staying up here, then just move back. Even Martina Navratilova said that at some spot that I saw. Move back. Make them hit balls that they're not used to hitting, which is dipping the ball down to your feet. Next up is you have to be aware if you can be aggressive with an overhead or if it's a really, really defensive ball, because a lot of times people are hitting overheads and they're going for stuff when it's not really the time to be aggressive and they're still blaming the lob. Whereas to me, that's more of a perception error. You can be aggressive and try to put the ball away, whether it's in singles or doubles, when you don't have to move a whole lot. Turn 1, 2, 3 smaller steps under the ball. Go for it. But if you really have to move super aggressively to get back under the ball, that's the time when you're just placing the ball and you're just extending the point. You're just keeping the point alive. And you also have to be aware then where you are in the court. Should you be moving back and reset the point basically at the baseline? Or is your ball still well placed enough that you could basically then use it as yet another transition ball? To me, to make that decision, it really depends on where you catch your balance. Let's say if I'm being pushed back here and I catch my balance here, I'm probably going to be better off moving 1, 2, 3 steps, and I'm in a really great position to restart the point. If I can hit the ball here and I find my balance, I can give it 2, 3 aggressive steps back in, and then I'm resetting the point that way. That was my transition ball. That was my approach shot. Also, not every ball that's coming high over you should be hit as the, and I'm going to call it the traditional overhead. There's another option that helps you to reset the point that's a little bit more of a passive option, but it still allows you to take the ball out of the air, which I always prefer, because once the ball bounces, it takes a lot more time, and that gives them the upper hand. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the windmill overhead. So instead of setting up like a regular overhead, extend your arm here, and you're just bumping the ball over. You're literally just hitting it up, and most likely you will hit that ball when you really push deep. And by you hitting the ball up higher and not trying to nail it. A, you're not committing an error, and B, you gain time and you can reset the point. What about the backhand overhead? Is that an option too? Absolutely. But it is a rather difficult shot, so I'm actually going to make a whole different separate video about it. So you've done everything that we should be doing. You didn't overclose, you followed up the ball properly, everything is cool. But they still lob you, and you can take it either as an aggressive or a passive overhead or a windmill overhead. So what do? How do you run down a lob? Here's what you don't want to do. Another option that I don't favor, and I know everybody wants to hit it because they've seen the pros do it, is the tweener. It looks spectacular, yay, and you can, when you're 80, you can still tell your grandchildren about it, but you're maybe making 1 out of 980. So here's how you run down a lob. Try to get to the side of the ball. Try to pass that ball so that in the worst case scenario, you can hit a ball here over your shoulder. Ideal would be that you're not just running alongside it, but again, you're passing it. If you can't set up for pretty much a regular ground stroke, then just hit a sky lob as high as you can. Super defensive, but very, very few players are trained to take the net after they lobbed you. In doubles more so, but singles, I rarely see that. I'm talking about the sky lob a whole lot. So if somebody gives you that ball, high, 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 super steep, I would actually let that bounce. And then again, place that ball. There's no sports center when we play. Now that we worked a little bit on discouraging the lob, you still have to work on your overhead. So many people do not like to train overheads, to work on overheads because they're not good at it, but they're not good at it because you don't ever work on them. So if you want to learn how to hit a great overhead, here's the video for that.